And the road that we're going to use, the hill climb, which we're still going to use, is being all chewed up by logging. As you can see over there, it's been decimated. Big old ruts which you can't see because of the shadow, but there's massive ruts all the way up where tracks have been going up. That's going to make it interesting because last time it was nice and smooth but steep. Now it's all loose, dusty, rutted terrain.
Welcome to the second review of the Monster Pro. The first one, I wasn't that impressed and enamoured with it. So we did a second video on this machine because we got sent a Generation 3 board, a control board to go inside it. So Mario stripped it apart, fitted that new board, which theoretically will give you more mileage because it allows it to run down to a slightly lower voltage. And we thought we'd give it another chance, so we sat it on standby until such a time as the board came in and we had the chance to actually fit it, and then subsequently the chance to actually go out and ride it. And that is what I've been doing. So I've gone back out, and obviously can't do an unboxing because it was already unboxed in the first video. It's now looking a bit more muddy and a bit more dusty than first time round. So a little bit more use. It's also got Clark pads fitted. You'll see more of that later in the video. But they're on it now and they're not coming off. So here we are. So how has it performed? Well, it's performed perfectly fine. We've had no failures, nothing like that. It's all been running absolutely fine. Foot plates, what can I say? They're the standard foot plates we're all used to. So nothing really to say there. Normal, I would have said. Haven't ridden them in soaking wet weather on this machine, but on other machines for the last couple of years I've been riding with those styles of foot plates. The tyre is different than most of the tyres. It's more of a street tyre, I suppose you'd say. But it's got nice big grooves in it and it doesn't seem to suffer on the mud. Seems fine. Haven't been taking it on extreme trails because this thing's a bit of a beast to lug around. So it's not as nimble as other wheels, being a 24-inch wheel. If you're looking for something that's going to be really torquey out of the blocks and also is going to be light and for commuting on and off a train, bus, wherever you have to pick it up into, this is not going to be the one for you. It hasn't got a cut-off switch underneath the handle, but it has got a cut-off switch on the front. And that's all very well, but actually getting your hand in there and pressing that switch at the same time is quite difficult. You have to do it two hands and then sort of press it. So it does work, but it's so flipping heavy that you don't really want to be lifting anything more over than your doorstep or whatever. This is a machine to be stood on and riding for long periods of time. So, how did it all go? Well, let's jump forward and show you the hill climb that we did. So we took it out. So before I get to the range test results, go and take a look at the hill climb, where we took it out on one summer's day, nice and hot. And this is where these pads came into play. And this is where they got fitted. So you'll see that. So we'll play that now and you'll see the results of how I got on up steep hills with such a big old beast. We are out in the Forest of Dean, where I do a lot of my riding. Part of this review as well will be me riding up here on a Monster Pro, feeding back on how much hard work it is, or isn't. I'm perceiving it's going to be quite hard work. The Monster Pro is down there at the moment, and it is laid on its side. It has no cheap pads on it, super boost pads, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to try it as standard without paying however much they are, depending on which model you go for, cheap pads. So I'm going to ride it there as bog standard. Then what we're going to try is, well, I'm going to feed back on that just to see what it's like. I'm also going to check the temperature before we set off to see what it currently is. We haven't done this hill yet. It's actually kicked up quite a lot because of blooming logging lorries gone up and down it. One of those not special devices with track wheels, and it's ripped it all up. So it's really messed up. It used to be nice and smooth, now it's even more difficult. It's all sandy, dusty soil. I mean, it ain't raining, that's one good thing. So we're gonna go and try that, check the temperature, see how much temperature goes up. I really hope it doesn't blow a board or something stupid like that. It's really steep, it's a hot day, and it's a long old climb up here, really steep all the way up to the top. So I'm gonna go and test it out, see how it goes.
come back down, report back, and then I'm going to give it a quick go. And we just picked a wheel pretty much at random, but a lot smaller wheel, the Emotion V8F. And I'm going to take that up there as well and just see what that feels like, just to talk about the difference between wheel diameters and torque, etc. But we're not going to stop there. Mario is also going to have a go as well. This is like a little segment where we're going to try out the Clark pads. So I'm going to try the Monster Pro without them, and then Mario's going to have a go without them. Then we're going to fit them. So here we are recording, and then Mario's got a few things to say, haven't you, Mars? Whilst weirdly a van goes by in the middle of the woods.
I don't really want to take up the challenge to take the Monster Pro up that hill because it's too difficult for me. It's beyond my skill set. I'll just stick with the camera.
The answer's no, Griff.
So he's decided he's going to bail out. So what we talked about, that's not going to happen. Different height people have them in different places. What they do recommend is you put Velcro on them before you attach them, so you can position them where you want. We haven't got any Velcro because we just haven't got any. So I'm going to stick them on position for me because I'm the one that's going to be doing the majority of the testing. It says the temperature is 43 degrees Celsius. Okay. And there's a big hole being left up here somewhere, so I don't want to hit that. Track marks, track marks. Fan's cut in already. Is that a good sign? I suppose you want a fan rather than no fan. So my shins, I'm trying to grab this side of the unit, but they're slipping forward. So without the pads, they're just a load of tree roots being cut. So my heels are, I'm on my toes, is the best way to describe this. I am not flat-footed at all, right on my toes. Calves are burning. She's going up though. Oh my goodness, it's the stupidest forestry cut up trail. I'm gonna have to get off because there's so many branches. Didn't envisage this last night when I was thinking about the hill we're climbing up. And they've actually closed the path up here as well, I can see. Because it's such a climb, I've gone to GoPro just in case you still can't see me. I'm still climbing on my tiptoes. Oh my goodness. It hurts. Burns the calf muscles. So I've got a nice bit of pace on, but yet, regardless of that, I am still on my tiptoes. Causes, of course, a load of fatigue in the around your shin area, your calf muscles, everything. Here's the path shut off, look. Right, almost at the top. So this is now pretty much flat. This is where I'm going to go to. So we can't see that, but you have to trust me, we're at 72 degrees C. And let's see how quick this brings it down, the fan. So that short climb, it's bringing it down rapidly with that fan, which is pretty neat. I think you can probably just about make it out. Down to 70.9 already. So, okay, I'll ride down to the bottom of the hill and then see if it's heating up by obviously putting power backwards, leaning back. Downhill is nice and relaxing. You just sit back into it. I'm just leaning back into the foot plates. No issue. With this wheel though, it does run away from you. So I have to often readjust my foot position so I'm hanging over the back to put as much weight as I can on over the back. Because it can run away. Such a big diameter wheel, not a huge amount of torque at slow speeds. So yeah, I just lean back a lot more on the foot plates. So you hit bumps and stuff like what I'm doing now, it's super bumpy. It can easily run away as your feet get shifted around the foot plates. It's not a quick breaker, put it that way. We had 3 or 4 hours, we've cleaned this track back up again. So going down, no reported issues at all. Nice and casual, as I say, I have experienced it, a bit of runaway, which you get with the bigger machines. Obviously the heavier it is, the more mass you're trying to break, and very often a bit less torque. But certainly with the bigger diameter wheel like this, yeah, it's a lot more difficult. I'm riding slow speed now, for fairly complex terrain, and it's all good. Let's check the temperature just to see if that's, oh, it's killed the app. 69.3, so it hasn't built up a huge, well, it hasn't increased its heat hardly at all, it's sort of maintained it. So If I'd have carried on going up, it'd have got hotter and hotter, of course. So this is where the Velcro comes in handy, because as it is, it's like, where do I want it? Probably there. It's gone horribly wrong. Fan's cut off now, which is nice. They are on. But this one really hurts my Achilles tendon. Right at the back there, I've moved it back further and my foot position looks the same. But anyway, we'll push along with this. We've got the shins going into it. Apart from the Achilles tendon being smashed off, we're getting there. So getting back into the stocks, as it were. Wow, the difference is worlds apart. Worlds apart. So apart from being a bit uncomfortable with the Achilles tendon, my feet are, oh, this is just, yeah, this is like night and day difference in terms of leverage. I've actually, ow, my Achilles tendon that I've actually got. That's just, yeah. It's as though you've added, I don't know, 50% more power, more. Oh, probably wouldn't have stayed on there if I didn't have the pads on. Over this. So if you remember, I stopped on the way up to get over those. The wheel is almost spinning out there. Wow, okay. No, gee, world difference, world of difference. If you want to harness the power, get more torque on it, then that is definitely a way of doing it. Definitely a way. My feet are almost flat on these foot plates at the moment. I was on my tiptoes all the way up here. So it's grabbing a load of that torque, these cheek pads. And then we'll have another look at the top again. See what we got in terms of temperature. Okay, we're at 72.76, something like that, 72.6. And there we go, and the fan will start cooling that down pretty rapidly. So the cooling on this is really good. With the extra torque gained, it doesn't seem to have made a difference to temperature, which is good. So there you go. If you wanted to know that, whether they work differently because you're getting the more torque out, I think you're probably, because you're messing around less at slower speeds and pushing on through, you're less time climbing. Maybe. You can't really see because of my trousers, but it is digging in. When I stand upright, it digs in slightly to my Achilles tendon, but it's adjustable. So as you can see there, you can pull the, I don't know which I have. So this side is much separated out compared to this side. But that's the great thing, so you can adjust left and right, both sides. So I'll head back down now. And so you just got to get used to positioning yourself in. I'm not used to wearing cheek pads, of course, because I don't cheat. Might do more now. Now down, this feels a lot more scary. Because my feet are so far forward on the foot plates, yeah, that's a lot more scary. I can't lean. I can lean back with the torque from the back of them, but not my usual lean. I'm being forced to bend my knees and lean my ass over. So there's a slight change of style there, because my toes are off the front, which is great for going up. Yeah, going back, not quite so, just different style completely. So bending, yeah, leaning my ass over the back now to get it to brake, so I can go forward, and then, but braking severely reduced almost. But yeah, I can lean into the pads. I'm just worried about my feet slipping out for the amount of torque being generated. If I had wet foot plates, I would be off that. They would slip out and I'd fall on my ass. Because obviously the torque now is between my knee joint and down below, slightly below. So less confident going down than I was going up, because I'm not quite getting the torque in braking that I was before. When I could shift my feet, I could put them wherever I wanted. Now I'm forced into a more or less a set position. So that's the only disadvantage of this at the moment. Partly that's positioning of these, so I could probably open them up a little bit, widen them out to give me that scope to move my feet around. But all in all, in terms of climbing, don't fall down there. Massive difference, like worlds apart. So if you're having issues, you're having issues with torque and climbing and acceleration, man oh man, get these pads, really good. I like them. So I'm just waiting before I shut this off. I'm gonna have a quick go on the V8 just for giggles, to take it up, to try and talk over really the difference between a much smaller wheel and the way it delivers its torque and its power. But whilst I'm doing it, I'm just waiting for this to cool down, and it seems really efficient at bringing the temperature down. It's bringing it down a degree in a matter of a few seconds, which is pretty good. So it's 54.8, 54.7, 54.6, 54.5, 54.4, 54.3, 54.2, 54.1, 54, 53.9. You get the idea. That's the speed it's bringing down at, which is pretty neat. Because it is a hot day, it's not like it's a winter's day. And it's been going up that, which is super steep. I'm actually baked. I could do with a fan. It's as efficient as this. On reflection, I wouldn't climb. So if I had the Monster Pro and I was going out for a nice long ride and I was on my own and we're not doing stupid things like on the Speedy Feet meets where we do crazy stuff, I wouldn't choose to come up here. With the Clark pads fitted, I think I probably would, because it was a heck of a lot easier. It's the reason I call them cheap pads. It was much easier. And that might actually sum it up in some ways, mightn't it? That actually you can go places you wouldn't have gone before. I'm a little bit worried about going downhill without some bit of adjustment on those pads. Get the backs in the right position for me. I need to separate them out more so I got more foot movement, so they're not so clamped together, but bring them back for that adjustment. But going up, it was genuinely, it was a breeze going up with them fitted. So it's a thumbs up there. And as I say, to reiterate, I'd probably bomb on by and go up that way and come round. But now I would, even with this turned up terrain like it is, it's not smooth. When you're on tiptoes and your calves are burning, there's a lactic acid build-up. That's a bit of a problem. It's not exactly comfortable. When you're out on your own, you think, oh, I'm not going to bother doing that, I'll go somewhere else. Now, actually, it was all right, so, yeah. So this is the V8, obviously no pads, just like I took the Monster Pro to start with. And I can already feel, of course, it's a lot lighter. The amount of torque here is just readily available. So it's like, but it's really twitchy on this, on these ruts, which you can't see on camera, and you can't see how steep it was on camera either, as me and Mario just stuff a minute ago. But in terms of torque delivery, my feet at the moment, without pads, are flat. So that should give you some sort of idea. Smaller diameter wheel, smaller motor, just loads and loads of torque. A bit like if you have the M10-3. But these logs that I'm going over, it's going to be challenging. Ugh. But to get going again from a slow speed, near problem. But you know, you wouldn't want to go much faster than what I'm doing now, because it's such a small diameter wheel. Hit something, you are coming off, especially all these stones. But it takes me up here through all this junk, no problem. Ooh. Yeah, so the torque delivery, super smooth. I'm not on my tiptoes. There's no build-up of lactic acid. I'm just using my sheer body weight to lean forward, and it's going forward. Yeah, that was a breeze. Absolute breeze. Might as well go over to the top, won't I? Just for the sake of it. And it's the same in reverse as well. But obviously these are a bit more jumpy, scatty, skitty, whatever you want to call it, on the rough stuff. So I wouldn't want to take this on hardcore trails, because this thin little tyre, not ideal for it. Is it possible? Absolutely. You could ride this pretty much anywhere, but you've got a smaller battery. But like this, it's just proving. You're talking about the most expensive machine on the market, the Monster Pro, swings and roundabouts all the time. Something like this, you can transport it easy. Bags of torque. That only 1000 watt. I say only. A few years ago that was like super powerful. But yeah, piece of cake going up here. No hassle at all. No aching legs. Nothing. It's just a bit more jittery because it's such a small wheel. No fans. Back down. It's going to be the same report, which is just lead back a little bit. Super torquey. It's like instant breakage, instant acceleration, instant braking. So yeah, there we go. There's Mario down on the hill. I'm hoping I don't come off this in this rough stuff. Ow, pushing the whole branch along. Of course the foot plates are slightly lower as well. Doesn't help. Oh, now I've got a whole tree stuck in there. Oh God. There he is. Oh. Don't fall down it. Big drop. Probably looks flat on camera. We are going to go and do a 0 to 20 miles an hour test using a speed gun. Not using the phone, not using the app, but using an actual speed gun that I bought some time ago. We've been fairly busy of late, so we haven't actually had a chance to even try it yet. But I bought it in from the US and we're going to give it a go and just see what results we get. I actually wanted to do it with the power pads off and then put them on, but we had to choose one, so we chose a steep hill, which will look flat on video, but we chose a steep hill to do it instead, and then we just do a torque, as in torque acceleration test, whatever you want to call it. Now with that, there's obviously a caveat on that. If you've got no brain, then you'll just lean forward as much as you possibly can to get the thing going without care for your injury for yourself. I'm not going to experiment it that far. I'm going to do it to where I'm comfortable with after riding all these years and just see how she handles in terms of acceleration. Here we are, we've got the speed gun, a Bushnell speed gun, massive display on the back. I've never actually seen it out. I just bought it months ago to do this very type of thing. So we're going to take this out, we're going to try it. It seems to fade away from the distance we want. I want to be going from that no entry sign, essentially. Accelerating forward, and Mario's going to test my speed by pinning this against me, approaching him. And then we'll use the timestamp in the video recording to work out how long it took to get from the 0 to the 20. So we'll give it a go. 3, 2, 1, go! 20. 3, 2, 1, go! 3, 2, 1, go! Come on, girl! Right. That is actually, especially with the pads on, you wouldn't have got that level of performance out of this wheel without those side pads on. So the Clark pads really help there in getting that acceleration straight out the blocks, essentially. Real rapid to 20 for such a massive wheel. Remember, it's a 24-inch wheel. It's not its forte to be quick out the blocks, but I've managed to garnish that power from the wheel. Now, my only argument is that's an optional extra you have to pay for on top of already a really expensive wheel. Out of the box, you won't get that speed out of the blocks, essentially, without the side pads. So I'm leaning right into those, you might be able to see in the footage, hopefully, to get it. But that shows what it's actually capable of when you have got them fitted. So that's a thumbs up for me in terms of acceleration, straight off, up to 20, because that's a safe speed to ride at. So that's that test done. Hope you enjoyed the hill climb and the acceleration test. And here we are again, back in the studio to talk about the range test, quite a critical part of this machine. Being so expensive and cumbersome, one of the great things about it is going to be this huge battery packs in it, isn't it? So, and that's what you're kind of paying for. Half the cost of electric unicycle, approximately, is the battery anyway. So I went out and did another range test with the new board, not satisfied with the final range results I got on the original video we did, which is going to be linked below or might pop up now, one of the two or both. And I got 61 miles. On the first video, I got 67 miles. The temperature now is warmer than it was when I did the original test. So I have no idea what is going on there. So very unusually, so what I'd usually do is unbox a wheel and do a range test and say that's that. I would never go back out again and do another range test in all the years we've been doing this. This time though, I've done a second range test, but because it's a new board, it's like a first range test again, really. I got less, and it's going down to less volts as well. So strange.
So I thought, okay, let's just give this a real fighting chance, and I'll do a third range test. And so what I did the entire thing within a 24-hour period. So I charged it up to full, unplugged it, took it away, and went straight out. And so we've got some clips of that now. A little story unfolds as I take this thing out, just to show you that I took it right to the end of where it should be. Right, start another workout. Boom.
Start workout.
Start workout. So with this third range test, I got 54 miles, a disappointing 54 miles. It's actually a total of 55, but I was walking at least a mile, probably 2 miles was walking towards the end, as you'll see in the footage. The mileage seems to be going down rather than up. We're going to run through the footage of that now. We're out and about doing the range test, and then come back to some statistics for that final third range test. Right, well, I am on 81.5. When I push forward, it's on 79-ish. I kind of miscalculated it, about 77.5. I'd forgotten that it actually starts beeping. I thought it was 71. I'm not sure I'll get home, to be fair. Not sure. Look at that moon, that is gorgeous. Absolutely amazing moon. It's now tilting me back. It's quite windy, hopefully you can hear me. I can't go very fast now because it's tilting me back. Sorry, 2 miles in now, looking at the thing. It's now pointing up at the sky, which sadly, of course, is... I'm going to have to turn this light off because it's going to blind people, because it's now shining up into the hedge. So I'm in the privileged position of being able to go off-road. So even though it's getting dark now. So even though I've gone about another mile, you can't have the headlight on. So even though there's power, I can still go further. You can't go along the road with that headlight on, because it's just pointing like that. So I am literally nursing this now. And that's the other thing with these range tests. It's like real world range. I would not be riding it now if I didn't have to get home. So I'm forcing the issue here. I would have stopped riding this like 1.5 to 2 miles back as soon as it started tilting me back at any reasonable speed. So I mean, this is almost unrideable. Maybe this might come in handy, so it doesn't even level up. I'm riding it with it full tilt back, so it's just fully tilted back now. If it wasn't for the power pads, my Achilles tendons are sat against the rear of the Clark pads, and it's really painful, but it means I'm not sliding off. Not sure this is advisable. This is every single thing you should not do, but I would like to get home. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to power it off. And then, can I put, I don't think I can with it off. It would be nice to give it a bit of a... It's not going to let me go, is it? No, not very likely. Get it rolling. No, because this is just up and down. You can't put any force on it. Well, we're in a bit of a strange state of affairs here, because now it's leaning forward, so I can't even stand on it anymore. I actually saw 71.9 on this thing. 70.9, as you just saw yourself. Oh, this is extreme. Lights in the distance. That's my rescue lift. I'm downhill, I can hardly stand on it. Okay. Almost homeward bound, boys. Almost homeward bound. Oh, there's a bat. There she is, my lovely wife. In the office. I don't want to lean against the wall because it's constantly tipping forward and back. But there you go. It's now leaning forward, believe it or not. But it's sat still is 74.5. As you saw at one point when it's a 70 something, which is, yeah, it's critical danger zone, basically. So there you see what unfolded throughout the evening. So I really did take it right to the end. So here's the statistics. If you have a look on the screen now, you've got those 5 rides over the 2 days, so the 22nd and 23rd of June 2021. 12.46 was the first ride on the 22nd. It's called Monster Pro 3rd.1. And that is 12.46 miles, an average speed of 18.8 miles per hour. And you can see on there the elevation gain, etc, etc. And then we'll look at ride 2, which is where I took Bruce out. So it's named 3.2 Dog. Because I named it that because you'll see the speed is incredibly low, but only for 3.73. So for only 4 miles, but a very slow speed, no stress on the machine at all. 27 minutes, almost 28. And you can see the specs there. So then we go to Monster Pro 3.3, where we've got an average speed again, more reasonable, 18.76, with a distance of 19.35, taking an hour. Again, if you want to pause it, you can see the elevation gains, etc. So all the details are there. Then we did Monster Pro Take 3.4, so the 4th ride out, distance of 13 miles, with an average speed a lot quicker, 22 for 35 minutes. So a 13-mile journey at an average speed of 22 miles an hour. Again, you can check out the elevation gains if you want. Then we've got Monster Pro 3.5, which was the ride where it all went a bit wobbly in terms of the fact that it ran out. And you can see, if you look at the bottom graph, you can see where the speed just tails completely off. And we're down in the 3 mile an hour range. So you've got speed basically for the first 14 minutes, 15 minutes, and that's it of that 50-minute journey. And the rest of it is just tooting along at nothing. That's where it all went wrong. So an average speed there of 8.2, and of that 6.71, I think I probably walked about 2 miles with this. And that's where we end up at that final result. So it's not giving me a huge amount of mileage. So we've been incredibly thorough with this Monster Pro, unlike any other wheel. I'm trying to give it the best chance possible. So that only leaves us with one other thing to do. Well, it leaves us, yeah, not me, but Mario is going to open up this monster. We've charged it back up. I've noticed now, if I just boot it up, it's on 99.7 volts. So 99.7 volts. What we're going to do is just put a 3 amp back on it, charge it up to it until it goes green, and then immediately test the voltage of each of the battery packs inside. And we're going to read it on both those to see if there's something wrong with the battery pack. If they're all giving good readouts, which we're going to find out when Mario films it in a second, we can do no more. You've seen the specs of the type of ride I was doing, more or less off-road the entire way, but we're talking about summer here, so temperatures minimum of 15 all the way up to 23, 24 degrees C. So yeah, I can't do any more. I've given it 3 range tests, which I would never have usually done, and that is a right pain. Trying to find the time to do the full range test on these big wheels, for one, is a pain in the ass. Having to do it twice is a bit ridiculous. 3 times is mental. So I did 3 times, and it's still got a very poor result in terms of its battery capacity. If you only want to do those miles, anything sub 55 miles, then I can recommend this wheel. But if you're thinking, I'm going to get 100 miles out of this, you're just not. Unless you weigh 5 stone or something. I don't know. 50 kilograms. But there we go. This is our model that we're testing. So it's not like a prototype or anything. It's a full production model. There's nothing strange about it. We got it within weeks of when it first came out. It hasn't been sat on the shelf for ages. Nothing like that. We've got the latest board in there. What I would say, so just to really summarize until we go to the battery side of things, fitting the Clark pads on this machine. If you haven't seen the review of the Clark pads I've done, go and check it out, link it below and put it up on the screen. Brilliant, changes the machine entirely. So if you want to get a Monster Pro, having these fitted, again, it's another investment. They're not cheap, but when they're fitted, it makes a huge difference to how this machine performs. Really brings the best out of it. So I would highly recommend those if money's no object and you're happy with the, for us, the most range is 55. There'll be people out there that get a lot more on their monsters. There'll be different weights, they'll be in different environments, right on different terrain, different elevation gains, different tire pressure, many other things, different average speeds, carrying less, whatever. It goes on and on and on. Less wind, just goes on and on and on. So there will be people get more, there will be people get the same. but we're going to test the batteries. In terms of the riding, with these fitted, it turned the machine into something a completely different machine. Much more pleasurable to ride. Still not my preferred wheel, my go-to wheel, but I can't see a lot wrong with it when these are fitted to be able to get that extra torque out. It gets rid of all the sluggishness basically, and it's nice and comfortable having your shins leaning into it. So yeah, from that point of view, I've had no issues in terms of reliability of it. It's not been unreliable or anything like that. Not coming with the mudguards, a bit annoying. We've got the mudguards now. We've also got them in stock at speedyfeet.co.uk. They're up, ready to go. So if you've got one and want to fit a mudguard to it, we've got them in. The lighting, everything, all perfectly adequate. I love the way it cools real quick. Fan is very loud, but it is cooling quickly. So function over design. In this terms of cooling, you're not going to get stuck having an overheating wheel. So that's good. One thing I would say with the pads fitted is under extreme situations of leverage, so if you're really leaning into it up a very steep climb or a short burst of a climb, like over a rock or something, or you're coming out of something basically, or over a log. I had it a couple of times, the motor judder slightly as if it was slipping on the magnets. Makes a noise. We've got the areas where this happened on the 360 camera, but I don't think we can really pull out the audio. We can try.
Yep. Motor slipping slightly. Wow, it did, yeah, the motor slip.
Can't even listen to it over and over again. You can't really hear it. It's only by chance. We weren't actually trying to film it. It just happened whilst I was riding. That never happened when I didn't have these pads fitted. Another thing worth mentioning, these pads were only fitted part-way through the third range test. So it's not as though the drop in torque is because suddenly I'm utilising more of the motor, more of the power band than I would have been before. Halfway through, these were fitted on. So yeah, that's not, it sort of doesn't indicate why we get poor range. So if you've got a Monster Pro, can you comment below and let us know what sort of mileage you're getting out of it. But worth mentioning that motor noise once these were fitted.
Hello guys, I'm in the studio with the Monster, and as you can see the charger is green, so it is fully charged, and I will open the machine and then test the batteries and see if all of them show the right voltage. After checking the batteries, each battery is 100.4 volts, which is within the specs, because I think the maximum they can go is to 100.8. So that's all good. Basically all 4 batteries are healthy. And also I just made sure that the connections were, before checking the batteries, just check the connections, so all of the batteries were connected as well. It is still a mystery to me why we're getting such a low mileage compared to the other Monster Pro videos out there. So I don't think we'll be able to solve this soon, but this is our honest findings. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we hope that it was helpful. Just a little insight in our experience with the Monster Pro. There will be more UC content where I will go more in depth with repair stuff and obviously all the reviews that are coming out. So definitely stay tuned guys, and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. Like, share, and we will see you in the next video.